now welcome head coach Mark Farley to the mic. Thank you.
All right, welcome back, guys. Okay, so first, Jarek, okay, and what he said. I think the number one thing that I want to make sure to start off with is, when you go into a season, we're all going to talk about football right now. But what goes on in a preseason is, and leading up to a preseason, there's a lot of work that nobody speaks of. And the guys that need to be recognized right out of the gate is our strength staff. Jed and Kane have done a tremendous job with our football team, as they have for years, but they did a great job this summer. There's a lot of extra time put in that room. This year, what is very evident this year than other years is our concession staff with Kevin Lauderville and his crew. I mean, we're eating in the dome every day, 3 meals a day. And what we're asking them to do and what they're doing for us is by far has a huge impact on our camp, because nutrition and those types of things weigh into this. And what they're doing above and beyond the call of duty is extremely important, but much different than years past, but very critical to this season. You have, we've been outside. We've had 5 practices. Our grounds crew, our fields are good, and that's critical because we want to be outside as much as we can, and our surface out there has to have a lot of maintenance just to be on that field. It doesn't last long, but we've done a great job of keeping that up, and being outside will make an impact on our football team, and we're fortunate. We've had 4 or 5 practices outside. Did not practice outside yesterday because of the rain the night before, but otherwise very good. We really don't want to practice in the dome very much. It's too cool in there. Yesterday we practiced in there and the air conditioner, and we need some heat, we need some humidity, we need some toughness. So we'll go outside as much as we can when we can. As far as this football team is concerned, the things that you'll probably ask about first, let's start with the quarterback if you got a question about it. The quarterback right now, after 5 practices, I actually think I have an idea. You could say the first group and the second group. There's 2 in the first group, 2 in the second group. Not to say that won't change, but there's no question that the 2, 1A, 1B, tied for first place right now would be McIlvain and Keller. Okay, Keller and McIlvain, however you want to decide it. Those 2 in the first 5 days have separated a little bit from the other 2 only because of experience, and then Fomby and Martins will be the other 2, not 1, 3 or 4, just 2 groups right now. And should that change, which it very easily could because of experience, the more you understand stuff, the more your talent can rise up. So we'll see if the more they understand, the 2 freshmen, if they can rise to the top, but both have talented arms, very talented arms. So that's good to know, and the other 2 just know the system better and can do some things at the line of scrimmage mentally that maybe the other 2 can't right now. So that's where that stands as far as that. I think the key to the offense will be the chemistry and the coordination of the players and the staff, because I think the offense will start with the offensive staff, quite honestly, of how they put the personnel together to use the personnel. And Ryan Mahaffey is one of ours, a UNI guy that came back. He's been here multiple times, but he has the energy that the offense needs, and he also has the detail that I expect from the offense and the toughness that an offense has to play with. So if they're around that every day, that should show as we go through the season. And I think Ryan Clanton, Justin Roper, Nick Danielson, that's a young group of coaches, and they're doing a tremendous job. A lot of good things just because of the group that it is and what they're bringing to the table as a unit. And then there's some other things that, they're learning as they go as a group, how to work with each other, but it's more so how to work with this team and use this team to its talent. And that's what we actually spent a lot of time on this morning. After 5 practices, I think we have a handle on what we achieved throughout the summer and what we brought in from the recruiting classes. Now we have to get them in a position so we know where the targets are and how to use this and maximize this skill set on offense. That will be the trick of the trade. Defensively, same thing. More the defensive staff, again, with Bryce Pop, DJ Vokalek, Jeremiah Johnson. I mean, those guys, when we spoke to the team the other night, those are UNI guys, meaning Bryce played here. JJ and GJ have been here multiple years, and they understand the ins and outs of UNI, and I think that's critical for success here, is to how to make this work here. And it's worked very well. It's just you have to do it over and over again, and sometimes you got to do a little bit different than the previous year. Those three guys are tremendous, and we added Keeling Brookins, who is a former player of ours, brought him back, and he's the assistant defensive back coach. So very smooth as far as communication of understanding what we're doing offensively and defensively. So that's not the issue. I think the issue will be is using our talent the right way. You go to the players, besides the quarterback, offensive line. If you were looking for the names, I'd be looking for Jackson Scott Brown, Spencer Brown. Those two are very close friends, but very great leaders. And how they prepare, what they've done in the off season, their investment into this university, into our program, is kind of puts them in a different, maybe one step on the others. But the others, through experience and that they gain, right now it's Nick Ellis, Mason Neeson, and there's one more. If I had a program, the left tackle. I think Trevor Penning is playing that left tackle right now for us, and then Vanderslice is backing that up, so we're kind of moving that around to see who that is. So there's other guys in there that we can talk about if you want to, but that will be the key. We've got good size up there, got good intelligence up there, and we've got the right coach trying to draw that from them, and Coach Clanton. So feel good about that. Tight ends, everybody wants to talk about Briley Moore. He's one of the better tight ends that we've had here at UNI. Already had multiple scouts through as early as this morning for Briley. Briley's a very good football player. He actually had a hamstring early in camp, so we haven't seen much of him, but to his credit, it's probably the best thing that happened for our team, because we've got to get those other young tight ends ready to play very early in camp. So we're finding out about the other tight ends of Tristan Bohr would be his backup. So this has given Tristan a huge opportunity to grow as a player in the first 5 days of practice because of the hamstring to Briley. So after that, it's kind of a bunch of freshmen, Jaden Scott, Alex Allen. We'll see what comes of the young players when we get there. The receivers feel good. We have quality at receiver. I wouldn't say there's a lot of depth at receiver, but there's a lot of quality there. Start with Jalen James, who is back from multiple years of starting. Really has done a great job. Probably had his best summer of working out and appears to be at his best form coming into camp that he's been since he's been with us. So Jalen James. The other one is we get Weston back. Okay, so he will come back off that knee injury from last year. Had all the hype going into the season, and he ACL'd in the third practice last year, and he's just anxious to be back out there. And Isaiah Weston is, we're fortunate to have him. The future is huge when you look how many years he has left to play. So, but you got Jalen, and then at the slot right now, Deion McShane is that slot position that we all saw last year that we played as a true freshman. Other players to look for: Suni Lane. We moved from safety to receiver, so he will be in that receiver core. Tremendous athlete, has to understand the game a little bit better, but no question has all the skill set. Just needs more experience over there because he's played defense now for us for 2 years, and we actually get his year back from last year because he will get to redshirt last season, being he only played 4 games, so he'll have 3 years left at receiver for us. So that'll be very helpful long term as much as short term. And then, a guy that really showed up here in camp that's just, he's your typical UNI get-it-done guy is Nick Phillips. Nobody's going to run up to him and talk to him today, but I tell you what, Nick Phillips out of Iowa City, Virginia, I mean, that guy makes every catch thrown to him. He's diving all over the place. He's as sound as the day is long, and even though he won't run 4.4, he'll play like he's 4.4, and he'll hit like he's 6'5", even though he's 5'6". So he's got that kind of heart to him, but that's the exact kind of guy you need in that group to bring the most from that group. So Nick has done a really nice job consistently, spring, fall already. Okay, everything's going well there. Jump over the defense, cover you on defense. I'd probably start the defense with the 2 tackles right now. Brinkman, another Iowa City, Regina guy, Brinkman and Butcher. And you want to write a nice story, those 2 wrestled against each other for the state championship. Okay, as they're coming through. Just 2 hard-nosed, bull-charging 2 tackles, typically what you want. They're as wide as they are tall. They're as tough as they are as anything else. And those 2 are really have put a personality into the defensive front, okay? And that's different than last year. And credit Butcher for what he's done, and credit Brinkman because he was hurt last year with the foot. And this allows him to kind of be out there steady, and he and Butcher are really doing a nice job at the defensive tackle. Defensive ends, you'll have Ellerson Smith on one side, Seth Thomas on the other. So we've got some height out there and with some talent. And I'd put Bronte Wells in that group too. Bronte from Des Moines is really he's probably more of a key role player for us than what people would think because he's durable. He can play inside. He can play outside. He can do multiple things for us. So should one guy go down, he's in the mix. He's always a starter in our head. It's just where's he going to play because he can fit multiple positions. So that's who I'd throw out in defensive line-wise, names to look for. Linebacker-wise, interesting group. Still working with this group. Actually, this group has became stronger. I don't even know if I want to say any names to it right now because it's moving around, but it's a lot stronger than what I thought it was going to be 5 days into camp. Spencer Cuvalier has really improved over the summer from last spring, and he's playing the Mike linebacker. And then the other ones, there's a lot of mixing and matching going on, but it's a good group. If you want to get into names, we can, but that one I'm not sure where it's going to end up, which is a good thing because there's 3 or 4 guys that are competing, and competition has made that group strong. We brought a couple guys in, and it's raised the level of some other players on this team when they're challenged, and it's made them a better football player. So that being said, that will come in time, but I'm pleased with the progress because I was suspect to that group coming into the camp. After 5 days, I feel a lot better that there's some guys there that will win that position and play like we play linebacker here the way we want to. In the secondary, Xavier Williams is always one that you'll look to first. Tremendous corner, tremendous athlete. And then the rest, again, will move around. Mekhi Mayberry, Austin Evans, the other corner spot, one of those will come to the top. And then whoever doesn't that could easily move into a safety spot and play there. We'll just get the best 4 defensive backs out there. But Xavier, Mekhi Mayberry, and Austin Evans. You still have Roosevelt Lawrence, who is in his second year with us right now, is that other corner for us. And then at safety, Christian Jagan is back from last year. He's going into his senior year. And then we'll have to find the rover position, if you will, the boundary safety. That's one of those competitive spots that we're still moving people in and out of to see where that shakes out. So, but I think Xavier's established, and those corners are kind of set. Now it's who's the next best defensive backs to start moving inside to do what we want to do. Kicking-wise, all new. Interesting on the kicking is we've kicked a lot the first 5 days. Drysdale is still hurt from the spring. He got hurt like the second day of practice in the spring, had surgery, hasn't kicked, hasn't been allowed to kick, so he's still in that questionable mode if he's going to be here for the beginning of the season. But the two, there's 3. Actually, Nate Murphy was a redshirt freshman last year. He's got a chance to be the starter. Right now, if I put a depth chart out, he'd be number 1. But Cook and Jorgensen, Cook from Cedar Falls and Jorgensen from Dyke, are the 2 true freshmen, and really have came in and done a nice job. Okay, like any kicker on the first day, they shank it left and right, and it's all over the place. But within the last 3 days, Cook has really done a great job from Cedar Falls. Very comfortable with Cook right now with what I've seen. I mean, it's surprising the maturity and composure he has. Okay. Whereas Jorgensen is a great talent, and as he gets older, you'll find out he'll become more composed. Right now, he's excited and all over the place a little bit, but he's got a tremendous leg and could be our punter as well. At the punting, we're going to punt right now. Zach Kibbe. Zach Kibbe's doing our punting for us today, along with Jorgensen. Could be a potential punter for us as well, as could Nate Murphy, that I've already mentioned at kicking. Okay, so. Punter yet to be decided, kicker yet to be decided. Snapper is still Joe Frederick because it all starts with him. There's no kick, there's no nothing. Joe can make a kicker great. All he's got to do is hit the target, hit it on time. Rhythm is kicking, and if he can give them rhythm, he's going to give all those young kickers a very calmness and confidence that they can hit the kick if they are prepared. So that's our football team. So go ahead, questions.
played a lot of that three-man front last year with 5 defensive backs. Part of that had to do with injuries and attrition, but you mentioned last year how you had success with it. Is that something you guys still have in the mix, or are you looking at a four-man front this year on defense?
Just as I said, when I mentioned Brinkman and Butcher out of the gate, I can only play one if I play that front. We can play two if we play the other front, the four-man front. So every year, my analogy is it's always who before what. Who are your players? Now what are we going to play with them? And we can't go cookie cutter and be consistently good here every year, because we're going to take what Iowa gives us, the best in Iowa. And those two are the best in Iowa that's been developed, 2 Iowa kids that have became 2 of our better defensive linemen. So we'll play to their strength, which is those 2 are in the top 11. And if they're in the top 11, we'll play a four-man front if it stays that way. So not to say we can slide to a 3-man at any time, but if I asking that question today, I'd say we are stronger in a 4-man front because of our personnel today than we are a 3-man front.
I know you said there's been a little bit of separation early with the quarterbacks, but given that, I imagine there's a long way to go in that competition, how just competitive is it on a daily basis between all 4 of those guys, I imagine?
Equal reps. We looked at all their stats. I really didn't want to look at any stats till 5 days of practice. And so we did an analogy of this because this is our day off. And so we took this day off for media day, but also a good time to kind of do a check and balance of where we're at after 5 days. And numbers tell me what I've already explained to you. The 2 older guys, percentage-wise, completion-wise, are a little higher. The younger guys are, they're still trying to figure it out a little bit, which is normal. So they've had equal reps for the most part. Possibly the 1 and 2 guys have had more reps than the 3 and the 4. But even as early as tomorrow, I'll start to lean a little bit more to the 1 and the 2, get the reps to them, because we quickly have to get them ready to play. So we're kind of going through 5 cycles here, 4 cycles. First 5 days, next 3 days, and then week by week to the game day.
Going back to linebackers, Mark Bryce, Flater had a lot of improvement last year when he played. I only hit just 1 start. What do you see him in the mix this year?
Flater is the one, yeah. You know what? Flater is tough. Again, it's one thing that you can't teach is toughness. I think you can train it. I don't know if you can teach it. I mean, you can get them ready for that so they can do it, but man, he's just tough. And now he has to play with control too. And if he can learn how to play with control and have an awareness pre-snap, he's going to make himself a great linebacker. Right now, he's a good linebacker because he plays so hard and he plays the game like you should. If he can figure out the pre-snap things and all the things that go along the instinctive part of the game, he can raise his game dramatically. So that's what we're trying to instill in him, is all the things that make you good to great, because he's got that mindset. He wants to hit everything that moves. Now you just got to hit the right things. So, but he's exactly what you want, because we can teach the other stuff, that hitting part, that aggression part. You have to have a little bit coming in the door, and he has that for him. So that's why he is the kind of linebacker he is. So he'll be a big part of the season. He's had a really good camp so far. Very pleased with what he's done in 5 days. Very pleased.
Coach, in looking at the offensive line, with the loss of Cal Twait, do you possibly move Spencer Brown to the left tackle, or do you prefer to keep him at the right side?
He could, Spencer could play a lot of positions, but Spencer's talent is at guard. So he's going to play the left guard for us. But that would be something, you get a couple injuries along the way, you need somebody that's really experienced to move to a tackle spot, and he could do that, but his talent. You're talking Brown or you're talking Jackson? Oh, Spencer, man. Spencer's a dude. All right. Spencer's going to play right tackle right now. They could easily move to left tackle. All right. Spencer is, he's got all the numbers, the height, the length, the size, the speed. We just have to get him really good at a position, because he could be very effective playing there. That's a good question. I always ask an offensive line coach, and they're always got the answer. But your left tackle, you think you're up against the best defensive end, because you always could bring your pressure off the backside of the quarterback's shoulder. So you want your left tackle who's probably going to have to play against the best defensive end that the other team has, will be the left side. The right side, that's the second best defensive end probably, because it's in the face of the quarterback. If he doesn't do well, the quarterback can escape and see the pressure coming. But if you got a right-handed quarterback, you got your left tackle as your best player because that's the blind side of your quarterback. So your left tackle, you want longer, if you will, longer arms, quicker feet, because he has to play with a deeper drop. Versus the right tackle, you know, if there was one or two, he's different. Yeah, but it also goes with right-handed, left-handed. Okay, it's like us writing with our right hand versus with our left hand. Okay, you have to teach left-handed stuff. We're all kind of good at right-handed things. Same way with Spencer. So we were trying to make a tight end to a tackle. So that's why you put him at right tackle, so you didn't have to go through all the playing left-handed type stuff. Now he knows what he's doing. He's got the experience. So now we could start teaching him left tackle as we did in the spring, because it's a little different because you're kicking with the right foot instead of the left foot. So it's just a different mental thing more than it is a physical thing.
Do you see Logan Wolf making any key contributions this year?
You know what? Logan's a great recruit. He's a great Panther. It's probably better said that way because his families are Panthers all the way to his mom. I mean, his mom's in the ticket office. She was in the ticket office when I was a player here, and now she's she's still there on the taking tickets at the door. And she was probably as much of him coming to UNI as anything else was. Grandma wanted him in town. So, but at the same time, he's a very talented, quiet force. He is a good athlete and a great person. And people say, can he do both? I would say absolutely after I've been around him now for 6 months. He is first in line in drills. He's first in line in the weight room. He tried to do both all summer long, even though there's a lot of things we do in the summer football-wise. It was up to him if he wanted to do all the extra stuff, and he still made time to do some of the extra stuff with basketball. Tremendous person, tremendous Panther. He'll be a great addition to this university.
You guys figured out the schedule, or is it still kind of a work in progress how he's going to balance each football and basketball still?
That kind of transpires what happens in the season. You know, where's he at in October? I think they go to practice in October. Hopefully he won't play until January. But when that time comes, I mean, we had Everett Pettisclaw do this. Heck, we had Hammer. If you go back to Hammer, Hammer was a basketball player that played football. Pettisclaw was a football player that played basketball. Goes back to Austin Howard. You know, he was, when I recruited him, he was both. But he ended up he's a 7-year pro in the NFL at tackle. So, you know, who knows where they all end up. I think that kind of unfolds as Mother Nature grows them. And as they get used to doing both, where do they land and where do they become great at? It'll hard to be great at both, as it is for anybody. But once he figures out, after a couple of years, how to balance time, and we see what Mother Nature does with size and growth and development, I think it'll all kind of develop in front of us.
What are you looking for from Jalen Rima?
Jalen is, expect a lot. Expect more than he's done. I mean, he's always had somebody put an expectation on him. He just needs to perform. It comes down to production now. He can run, he can jump. You know, he's been here long enough. He's got experience. You know, this one's on him. Okay, he needs to step to the plate and connect. And he's always been there. He's always been a part of everything. But you expect him to be a very productive key part of the season. But that's where he has to make those plays that only Saturday will show. The run after catch, the break in a tackle, the block that you need, the return on the punt. Those are things that will happen on Saturday afternoon that you'd like him to rise up and make those explosive plays.
Any reason why you think he hasn't been able to do that the last couple of years?
I don't know if he actually has. He just hasn't done it to my expectation, which is pretty high standard. I mean, that's David Johnson expectation. If you don't put them on something to reach for, then they're only going to be as good as what they believe their ceiling is. I believe his ceiling is way up here where he could do it every down and not just once every other game. So it's just raising the bar for him and then him reaching for it and doing the time, doing the work to get it done.
12-game schedule this year. Talk about that and the challenges of playing 12 games over 11-game regular season.
12 doesn't do anything. Hopefully, we've always played 12. Okay? We're always going to play 12 here. Hopefully, we play 15, 16. That's the challenge. Playing 12, so be it. The challenge of the schedule is, number one, Iowa State's tremendous. Okay? They're as good as I've ever seen them. Okay? What Campbell has done down there is different than any other coach that I've played being the head coach down there. He's doing a tremendous job. Those players they're playing at a different level down there, a different kind of football right now than what we've been up. I think I've played them 8 or 9 times. So that's about as good as teams I've seen coming out of Iowa State. That's the first thing coming out of the gate with a freshman or with a rookie quarterback. Second one is the Idaho State, Weber State, and Southern Utah run. Okay, that's a run within itself. Weber on the road, playoff team, everybody back, different deal. Okay, fortunately we got Southern Utah and Idaho State in here, but at the same time the Webers balanced it because that's on the road and that's the playoff team on the road. So they got high energy, high excitement, and everybody's back. So that'll be that run is a run itself. Then you get in our league, and I think we start out with North Dakota State and somebody else. Doesn't matter. This league is tough. It's going to be a top 5 team. So once you get into our league, you're playing a top 5 team, and you better have your ducks in order and better be healthy coming out of those first games because you're getting in our league, which is by far, well, at least it's been proven that this league is pretty strong.
That boundary safety position has always proved to be a pretty integral part of the defense. You didn't get into names, if you would though, please. I mean, who's competing there? Spencer Perry, I think one of the newcomers looked like he was there on Saturday morning. Where does that stand?
Where I put the rover position, the boundary safety, is Zach Kibbe is playing it right now. You have behind him is Javon Brecky, redshirt freshman. Behind him is Spencer Perry. Spencer Perry is the transfer that came in, really tall, long, athletic, kind of figuring out where he belongs after the first 5 days. We're going to find out where he's going to be in the next 3 days. So things will be turned up here in the next 3 days after today's break, and that's the position that he will play. Now he's got to go win the position. So that's the position he belongs in after kind of watching him. So we'll see if that's where he ends up. But after 5 days, I would say that's where he fits the best with his talent. So good player. Javon Brecky took his game to another level because of that move, I really think, because he really took the challenge on, and he's not giving up his spot. In fact, he's played to a level that he could win the spot. And then Zach Kibbe plays about with as much heart and energy as anybody that on a football team, and he doesn't want to give up the spot. And I want that same vibe, so I don't want to switch things up because we're getting better at all 3 spots because I can always move them to the other safety. So it's the best 11 will play. And as long as they understand that, they may not win that position, but as long as they're in the best 11, they can win it. Butcher's competing against linebackers. Brinkman's competing against linebackers because of the 4-man, 3-man stuff. If those 2 keep getting better, I'll be a 4-man. If those linebackers get better, I'll go to a 3-man. And that competition is what will make our football team what it is. But I think that's the case for any team.
You spoke a lot about Brinkman, but have you ever bench pressed 500 pounds, which I think he broke a record this summer?
That's why he broke the record, because I never did. That's a little heavy, but that was cool. And I tell you what, on what I saw it, I actually was doing stuff last night. For whatever reason, that popped up on my phone, and I think there's like 2,000 hits or 1,000 hits on that thing. What I liked about that was not the lift itself, but the energy in the weight room that came from that lift. And you know who's spotting him? Butcher. You know who he's competing for position? Butcher. So all the guys you watch in the picture that I see are the guys he's competing with, and that's that team energy that you get. And you know, those are 2 really quiet guys that bring a lot of energy because of the way they train and because of competing like that all the way to the weight room.
Somebody's obviously going to take that first snap in Ames, but because even the 1A guys have so little game experience, can you envision multiple guys playing in that first game, or do you not want to kind of roll that way?
Yeah, he's asking about the multiple quarterbacks. I've done both. I don't know. You'd like to have a quarterback that's guaranteed that's your quarterback. We all would. But again, it's what presents itself and how can we best win that game. And it might come down to who the receivers, who the running back is of the talent that you pick, because I believe that the best quarterback is the one that fits the other 10. And it's not so much who that guy is. He's still got his success is totally based off the success of his surrounding cast.
How has the receiving corps handled the battle going on there? You know, obviously, like you said, each guy throws the ball a little differently or has their own quirks, but, you know, with there being veterans in that receiving corps, how have they kind of approached the battle under center?
I'll go back to the way I learned football from Daryl Mudra, is the best thing you can do is have multiple things going on as you are learning, particularly early in camp, because I don't care who throws the ball. Some throw it hard, some throw it soft, some throw it with a wobble, and some throw it with a tight spiral, okay? Some throw it inside, some throw it outside. That's football. It's up to them to catch every one. I don't care if it's coming off the jugs or if I'm throwing it, okay? They've got to catch every football, and they got to be able to adapt that, and if they are developed by adapting, it's second nature to catch a good ball. Now it's easy. But if you're catching bad balls, and you can do that with one hand, okay, you can catch a good ball with two. So it's how you develop them and what they end up at the end. So I like it I just want the ball out on time. It's the timing of it. When they turn, it better be there. Now, where it is, find it. But make sure you're turning in the timing of the route so we can get the timing right.
How much, if at all, does that redshirt rule that was new last year play into your calculus with your 4 quarterbacks?
Oh, I don't know if it plays into the quarterback. I thought you were going to go as a team.
Well, I mean, that as well, but, I mean, would it maybe make you make a decision at quarterback that you may not have made before it was a rule?
Oh, I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, could I play a freshman quarterback and figure out if he's worthy of playing the rest of the year? Absolutely. Don't know if I'd do that to win a game, though. Okay, it's no time to experiment on game day. Okay, I just heard we play a pretty good schedule, so experimentation has to be during the season or during the practice time, and then make the decision and live with it on game day. But yeah, good point.
If you look at Keller and McElvain, what are the differences between them? Obviously, there's size difference, but Will looks like more of a scrambler. Jacob's also pretty athletic. If each one would win the job, what would one of those guys do? What are their specific thing that they do best?
The number one thing the guy that wins the job would be the one that protects the football the best. Intercepts, sacks, cause problems. Okay. Incompletions I can live through. Intercepts and sacks you can't. So who can manage that part of it? And when we throw the ball, that's the biggest part of those two things. Hopefully we'll pick the right one that gets the closest to the receiver, all right? But it's still going to come down to intercepts and sacks, which is timing and knowledge, because you got to be able to fire on time, and that's more rhythm than it is anything else.
I know you said Bradley Moore's kind of dealing with a little bit of injury, but for a guy like that, I mean, what's the next step for him?
For Briley, man, challenge himself. I wish I had a guy here to challenge him for his position. It'd make him better. Okay, Elias Nissen made him better last year, and this year he doesn't have that guy pushing him, so he's got to be mentally strong enough to push himself, and he is. That's why I wish I had that one guy that could push him day in and day out, because both would get better. But he's going to have to develop himself, knowing that he's the number one tight end on our football team. He still has to do what I call chase the ghost. He has to chase the guy that's better than he, the guy that will be better than him across from him, and that's how he has to train and prepare to beat that guy out. Even though he doesn't know who that is on our football team, it's going to be the opponent.
Where do Colt Luke and Billy Blazer fit into that offensive line?
That's it. You know what? You asked about Colt Luke and Billy Blazer, okay? Colt Luke is our backup center right now. Colt Luke's from Dyersville, right? Okay? And you talk about a guy that walked in here off the farm and didn't know if he was going to stay or quit or go, or because he was small when he got to us. He has worked his way into one of the leaders on our football team. He is the guy that probably has the best voice of our football team, because it isn't that he's the starter, it's that he's a Panther, and he knows what this program is. Colt Luke is making himself into a very valuable person on this football team because of his investment into the University of Northern Iowa football. So he's second-team center, and became a heck of a player through all that time. And then you ask about Billy Blazer, he's the same way, but he's just younger doing it. And then he hurt a shoulder and a hip and had 2 surgeries last year. So he's not eligible to play right now. He's not cleared because he had 2 surgeries, and he dropped a lot of weight. But now he's going to be cleared probably around September 1st sometime. And that's after 2 surgeries and building himself back up. And he's happy to be out there. He's got that same character as far as, it's more important to be a part of the team and being productive on the team than just being on the team. He wants to be a productive member of it, and he's challenged himself, and that's how he works.
What about Sam Schnee? Does he have a role in the offense or special teams, or is he still a year or two?
No, Sam got a lot bigger. Sam Schnee is, he came in as a walk-on last year for us, and all three of those guys very similar, and all three really have the same makeup, that they can make it because of their intensity and their perseverance. Two critical things you got to have to make it, and they're going to make it. And Sam's already shown that after 1 year. Where he falls this year, who knows? But right now, he's probably up to about 195. And when you get into special teams talks and things like that, this early in camp, his name shows up, which is, as a redshirt walk-on freshman, that's a big deal.
Coach, you were picked to finish 5th in the Valley. Do you use that as motivation, or is that a fair assessment of the Panthers?
I don't know there's any motivation in it. When you're us, I don't know what the motivation would be. I mean, we can get into that. It's more so the challenge of the schedule is probably what sets the basis of the 5th. I mean, I think we were there 1, 2, or 3 in strength of schedule at the end of seasons the last 5 years. And now I think whatever he said, we're 3rd or 4th this year going into it. So it's a strength of schedule in 1AA football that really kind of sets its records, puts you ranked. So that's why I'm more concerned about playoffs and where you're at the end of the season, because the objective in our division is to find your way into the final 16 teams. And we've done that for the last 5 years with those deals. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the league, Indiana State, I think, is 3, and Illinois State's up there, correct? South Dakota State is good, and North Dakota State's good. So to me, I mean, the league's pretty good. And I think all 5 of those teams are top 15. But again, they're, how many home games do they have? Are they playing 7 at home versus our 5 the past few years? So those things are kind of irrelevant because there's no level playing field. The level playing field is how do you get to the end and get into the playoffs if you're good enough.
Coach, Isaiah Weston, how has he looked since coming back from that injury? And could you feel that you were missing him last year since he missed the whole year with that ACL tear?
Oh, yeah, it hurt to lose Isaiah last year, there's no question. That hurt a lot at the time because that was the 3rd day of practice. And he was coming off that great year before. So we felt he'd take the role of Derice Fountain. And when that happened on the 3rd day, everything got mixed and mashed a little bit. But where he's at right now, I mean, he's excited to be out there, and he's worked hard to get where he's at. But just like any injury, I didn't let him do much in the spring because I just wanted to get another 6 months of healing so when he does get on the floor, he can stay out there for the rest of his career. And now he's kind of getting through, I'm sure, in his head, even though he doesn't show it, even though he won't say it. Anybody that has that kind of critical injury, it takes a little time to get through the mental edge of that to make sure that the knee does work on the break, that everything's good, you can take a hit, those types of things. That's all mental, and that's all, you got to go experience that. So he's getting through that in a very positive way, but there's a lot more to get through because I've dealt with those injuries before. It just takes time for those guys to get through that phase. And as soon as he gets through, the quicker he gets through the mental side of it, you'll see probably a stronger, faster player than what you saw before.
Coach, with all of the experience you have in the tight end and wide receiver positions, what can they, along with your running back group, kind of help this transition to a new quarterback this year?
Be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. When I look, be there. Because I'm probably not going to stay with you that long as a rookie. I might get a little quick in the feet. I might want to get a little, move a little bit more. If you're there where you're supposed to be, then my rhythm will and then I'll just get my body clock, my muscle memory, everything will be working good, and I'll get in rhythm and start getting confidence. But if you're never where you're supposed to be, I don't know if I'm the one that's wrong or you're the one that's wrong, because I'm still learning. So be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. And if he gives you a tough ball, make the catch for him, okay? You will gain confidence. So your game has to rise for his game to rise. You can't play your normal. You rise your game. He's got a chance to feel very good about himself and become a better player if you can take your game up a notch for him.
Coach, what kind of leadership have you seen from Trevor Allen?
Trevor? Man, Trevor he's like his brother, AJ. AJ really stepped forward in the last couple of years. What I've noticed about Trevor is since AJ has left, AJ was kind of the leader of the pack of those two guys. He's more vocal than Trevor. But now that AJ's gone, Trevor has really taken more of role for whatever reason. His brother's gone. Now he can be more of a voice than before. So I'm excited for Trevor. I think Trevor is a great tailback. You know, he's had some injuries and ankles and things like that. But just as in Jalen Rima, I think Trevor Allen, you know, that breakout year where he becomes a go-to guy, I think is possible, just like a go-to guy could be Jalen Rima. I mean, they're right there at the cusp of their career, and they both have the skill set, and it's kind of their moment. Anybody else? Hey, thanks for coming. Appreciate y'all being here.